Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. This is the last of the long forms of the day, and boy, is this a good one. Because the war has begun, and you're going to have to pick a side, and I know what side we're all going to pick. There's two stories, two articles, and I'm going to go through both of them. First of all, we're going to take a look at the one that we know isn't going to win. Then we're going to have a look at the one we know is going to win. Because, like everything, there's two sides to every story. And with a war, there's always two sides. And you have to pick one. Now, this particular battle is a battle royal between Humza Yousaf in the blue corner. Blue, because he's sitting there feeling really upset with himself. And J.K. Rowling in the red corner. Red, because she's all tooth and claw. She is going to win this one. After all, it's a war of words, and she knows a lot more of them than Humza Yousaf ever will. It's cracking, and it's just beginning, and we want to sit back, grab our popcorn, and watch as this all unfolds. This could be his Waterloo. It quite literally could be the last battle he ever fights. Here goes. Now, as this is the last video of the day, last of the long ones, it's my last chance to ask you to hit that subscribe button if you haven't yet. We can keep bringing you great news, great events, great things that happen. Boy, oh boy, is this one brilliant. And you know this is something that's going to run and run, so you won't want to miss as this story gets bigger and wider and the plot thickens. It's going to be cracking. So Humza Yousaf describes J.K. Rowling's tweets as offensive and upsetting as he reopens feud with author. Now remember, this was J.K. the other day on the 1st of April, and she gave that list of all those men who pretend to be women who are currently serving time for crimes. They all dressed as women to pretend to be women to try and do their time in a woman's jail because it would be easier than going into a man's jail, particularly as virtually all of them are inside for sex crimes, because, 12 times more likely to commit a sex crime if you're a trans. And they know that being a sex crime in prison isn't necessarily a good thing, especially for the ones who involved children, which is a lot of them. So they try to get out of it by going, oh, I'm a lady now, put me in a ladies' prison, Anyway, she's done that, and then he's gone, oh, it's upsetting, it's offensive. Why is it offensive to him? Does he side and recognise the protection of men who dress as women after abusing people? That's who he sees as his people? It seems a weird thing to say it's offensive. And as for upsetting, he's upset because a woman called a man a man. Kind of tells you his mental capacity, doesn't it? So the First Minister hit out at Harry Potter's comments. This paper gets worse. Harry Potter author's comments, perhaps. I don't believe Harry Potter said anything of the sort. Where she called trans criminals men. And she did so because they were men. But highlighted that it was not a hate crime after Police Scotland confirmed no action would be taken. And not just no action taken, but it wouldn't even be recorded as a non-crime hate incident. Because what are they going to do? There's two reasons. One, if they recorded it as a hate incident, they're saying that the truth is hateful. And if the truth becomes a crime, then we are truly lost, aren't we? Also, of course, she's got much better lawyers. And that she'd take them all to the park, wouldn't she? Anyway, Humza Yousaf has labelled J.K. Rowling's tweets about trans people offensive and upsetting. They're not trans people, they're male criminals who used female clothing to try to avoid going to a male prison. Except for the ones who actually use the female clothing to perpetuate and actually get access to children. That was in there as well, the Butcher of Montrose and all that. But he highlighted that there were not hate crimes under the new legislation, and that must really upset him. The Harry Potter author goaded Police Scotland on Monday and urged them to arrest her after she stated that a number of prominent transgender people were men. These criminals, were men. Her comments came after the SNP's Community Safety Minister Siobhan Brown told broadcasters that misgendering someone online could lead to a police investigation. It now turns out that no, it can't. Later, cops confirmed that after receiving numerous complaints about Rowling's social media posts, that they were not criminal and therefore not investigating. And in that line means you can now quite easily tell the truth. And if you see a man who's a man, no matter, he can want to call himself a woman, doesn't matter, you can still call him a man. It's no longer a crime. Police Scotland have confirmed this. So, good job. The First Minister, who spearheaded the legislation as it passed through Holyrood in 2021, has pointed to this as a vindication for the criticism the bill has received after concerns were raised that it would damage free speech in Scotland. But there have been almost 4,000 reports made to cops in the first 24 hours. Therefore, 1.4 million, as I pointed out earlier this morning, 1.4 million complaints a year. It will overwhelm the police. Now, he's reopened the SNP's old feud with Rowling, as he said that her posts on X were a perfect example of just being offended and upset and things. The author was a firm critic of Nicola Sturgeon due to the gender reforms which were put forward by her government, and even wearing a t-shirt which called her a destroyer of women's rights. And the First Minister added, anyone who read the Act will not have been surprised at all there's no arrest made. J.K. Rowling's tweets may well be offensive, upsetting and insulting to trans people, but it doesn't mean they meet a threshold of criminality of being threatening or abusive or intended to stir up hatred. And yet it stirred you up, Humza Yousaf. It stirred you up. You found it offensive. You've said that. Wonderful, isn't it? Now, that's Humza's side of it. We'll drop that there because we need to do this. Bing. J.K. Rowling quotes the Scottish Daily Express as she hits out at Yousaf's bumbling incompetence. You see, she's having a go at him now. The Harry Potter author hit back at the First Minister after he accused her of being offensive and upsetting when she posted a thread about the hate crime bill. So she's hit back at him and done so while quoting the Scottish Daily Express story. The pair are now in a war of words over the First Minister's controversial hate crime legislation, which has caused chaos throughout the country and within Police Scotland as well. The Harry Potter author goaded the force into arresting her, as we've covered, when she posted a lengthy social media thread where she named a number of prominent trans people, offenders Isla Bryson and Kate Dolatovsky, and labelled them men. And then, of course, it's there. It's not meeting that threshold, as I say. She later added, I don't believe in putting people I disagree with in jail. We've got a ballot box, and that's where Yousaf will get his richly deserved comeuppance. Because she thinks that he is an idiot. She goes, most of Scotland is upset and offended by Yousaf's bumbling incompetence and illiberal authoritarianism, but we aren't lobbying to have him locked up for it. Miss Rowling has a long-standing feud with Yousaf's predecessor, blah, 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 blah. We covered that in the other half of the story. So you've got these two now, locking horns. Ladies and gentlemen, who do we think is going to win this one? Who do we think is possibly going to win the war of words? Is it the bumbling and incompetent Humza Yousaf, a man who can barely utter 3 words together without having to pause, look around, look worried, and then go, Or a woman who's written many, many books, who uses the most outrageous and outre words, a woman of vast experience, and a woman with the best lawyers in the world. Who do you think is going to win? I know where my money is. I'm coming up. So when we get there, it will be J.K. Rowling versus Bumblebore. And we all know who's going to win, because he is such a dick in everything he does. He really hasn't got a clue. He lurches from crisis to crisis, from disaster to disaster, and everything is always someone else's fault. He brings in a hate law that everyone ridicules and mocks, and he can't handle it. And now he's complaining that the police are swamped and overwhelmed. Good. And now, of course, he's picked on the wrong woman. He's picked on she who must not be named. Good old JK. Take him to the cleaners, my darling. Destroy him. Eviscerate him. Take him apart. Take him away from us. Put us out of his misery. That's better. Anyway, I shall end there. Thank you very much for watching. Do please hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, leave a like, please comment, And I will speak to you tomorrow when we start this whole merry-go-round again on Friday, the best day of the week. Bye.